Hello guys, and now even Putin's best friends, Russian oligarchs, say they do not trust him. The head of the Russian Trade Union of Industrialists and Entrepreneurs has just reported they do not like Putin's tax policy and believe that it will only destroy more of the Russian businesses. And actually he is right, because in 2025 more than 50% of Russian large companies reported falling incomes and the need to continue layoffs. What is more important, in 2026, 51 big companies have already experienced serious problems with their debt obligations. And in February, 10 big companies announced default. This is serious because for decades of his reign, Putin constantly relied on oligarchs. They supported his political moves and he actually made them oligarchs. He is one of them. And the fact that now more and more openly criticize Putin decisions looks like a preparation for a coup or at least some big changes in the Kremlin, because they clearly understand the signals of the collapsing banking system, of serious problems in hundreds of Russian spheres of business, and even on the front lines that now extended to dozens Russian regions, including the skies above Moscow. Let's discuss all of that in the video. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine. And if you want to see the defeat and demilitarization of Russia that has already started, subscribe and share these videos to spread the truth. And let's begin with this really interesting update, and I love the headline in Moscow Times for this news, that the head of the Russian Trade Union of Oligarchs, like literally oligarchs trade union, Alexander Sokhin, spoke against Putin's tax policy and that he does not believe the Kremlin dictator will stop raising taxes. You know that this decision to increase VAT to 22%, to lower the threshold for businesses that need to pay it, was treated very negatively in all ranks of the apolitical Russian population, especially among mid and small businesses, but this also reaches big businesses. And the Kremlin promised this was a temporary action, but people are not stupid. They see what is happening with the Russian oil and gas industry, with the Russian metallurgy, with construction, and even with ruble itself, with inflation, with high interest rates, and they realize there is no other way to get some more money for the survival of the Kremlin regime but from more taxes increased. And that's exactly what they already discuss in various open and closed meetings, and businesses are preparing for more taxes to come, especially construction, metallurgy, and they know this will simply destroy whole sectors of the Russian business. And even if you are working in a different sphere, this kind of tsunami influences all the financial system. And that's exactly what Putin's friends, oligarchs, are talking about. This time it was Alexander Sokhin. Recently we've discussed a very negative, very critical post of one of Putin's biggest oligarchs, Deripaska, which was sensational all over the Russian media. And one more thing, you will not come across this in global, international, foreign outlets. And that's the problem, because they still look at Russia as if it was in 2014 or in 2008. No, everything deteriorates very quickly in that collapsing Frankenstein. And subscribe to know the truth directly from people who can read Russian and analyze the signs and signals. And the signs and signals are deadly for the Russian economy, because at least 50%, and some sources actually say 62%, of large Russian companies ended 2025 with seriously falling incomes and profits and preparing layoffs. This is especially bad for single industry towns. I don't know if you have something similar in your countries. Let me know in the comments below. It will be very interesting to hear. But in Russia, especially in those rich in natural resources regions, they did not invest in anything else. They did not build anything else there, but just like mines or factories working for that particular resource. And thus we may say that cities that may have like 1 million population or a couple of million, they all live from one industry. And when this industry collapses because of the state of the Russian economy, this literally makes all the region, all the city a bankrupt. We've heard about the default of the Saratov region. Unbelievable, right? Not a company, but a region. And now similar situation is in Khakassia, which is a very big region in the Russian Federation that earned from its coal industry. Now Russia's coal industry is done and people have no money, people work part-time, and they already need to go out on protest to get the salaries that they earned. Why? Because the Kremlin chooses to burn this money while targeting Ukrainian hospitals and kindergartens. And a lot of Russian companies and even very big companies that were once on the Forbes list report defaults. In January 2026, 51 big companies failed their debt obligations and could not cover even those requirements that a lot of banks specifically tailored for them. We know that Putin personally influences big Russian banks that they need to save such companies, but this way he also destroys the banking system. What I love about Syria's economic crisis is that it's like an avalanche. You want to solve one problem, it worsens another. And that's exactly what we observe right now. Putin pushes banks to save big businesses, but big businesses destroy the banking system, unable to return these debts. Or Lukoil and Gazprom are begging for some money to back them up when oil prices fell like 3 times. They cannot help them because these companies were the backbone of the Russian federal budget, and everything is so beautifully interconnected as a knot on dictator's neck. Thumbs up for that. So another important information is that in February alone, 10 companies defaulted, and these are big companies. And we are talking about Moscow, we are talking about Novosibirsk, we are talking about big cities that were once symbols of Russia's industries, of Russia's development, of Russian money. So trust me, if the oligarchs are speaking against Putin, this means it is very serious because he is one of them. Russia right now is a mafia state, but when you see quarrels, disagreements, panic between mafia members, know something big is coming. And I'm sure that 2026 will bring more bad news for the Putin's regime. Subscribe to witness that together, and also follow me on Anna Danilchuk, where, for example, in the recent video we discuss protests in very different Russian regions, which also promise more problems for Putin personally and for his accomplices. Let me know if you're available tomorrow for our live conversation, 9 p.m. Kyiv. As always, I've missed you and would be happy to spend that evening with you. Follow me on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, Discord, and Substack for a weekly newsletter. And check the merch shop, the link in the description. We've got a lot of beautiful products that help you start conversations about Ukraine and remind people about our fight. And thank you so much for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channels, but most importantly, thank you for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!